when someone from MMA, Francis Ngannou, of late, takes on one of our top boxers. AJ of late, last Friday, as recently as last Friday, AJ did what Tyson Fury couldn't do and absolutely knocked him flying. It was the end of Francis Ngannou. We will not see him back in a boxing ring. Should that be the end of these crossover fights? Simon says in his hugely read column in the Mail this morning with that cheeky picture of him, there is nothing about these crossover fights that benefits boxing. Do you agree with that? Are you with Simon on that? Spencer, I think you've had your fill of them as well, have you not, to be honest?
Well, look, I think that was always the biggest draw, wasn't it? Francis Ngannou was always the biggest draw. He's huge in his sport, his discipline, crossing over, putting that performance against Fury. You think, well, this could be something that's ongoing now, but the way that Anthony Joshua dealt with him in that fight, I think that's it. Francis Ngannou, by the way, has retired. I've seen reports that he has retired from boxing. He's going back into his own discipline, which is
retired.
So I go, like, when you look at it, you go,
lasted barely 2 minutes.
Who was the first one that done that? Conor McGregor, wasn't it, versus Mayweather? And you saw how that one went. That was a bit of a farce. That was a bit of a circus. He couldn't compete with someone like Mayweather.
The big difference for this one, Spence, which was the one that upset me the most, Jim, if I was upset, was it's one thing crossovers lower down the food chain. But when it's a crossover at the top of the sport and you're bringing the elites into it and the elites aren't performing, then it starts to go to the credibility of boxing. That's why Anthony Joshua did the boxing world a solid by reminding people what an elite heavyweight champion looks like.
He restored the faith in boxing, because that was absolutely that was crucial.
Many people want to say in this, these crossover fights, have we had our fill of them? Albeit they've been brief on the scene, but should we see the back of them now? 03717 223344. Michael's a Tottenham fan and a big boxing fan, presumably, as well. Michael, what do you make of it all? These so-called crossover fights. You had enough?
As a viewer, no, I haven't, because I think they always are spectacular to watch because of what happened, if you say, at the weekend. But I do agree with Simon in that it doesn't do boxing many favours, because at that particular level, you take one punch and the unexpected could well happen. So I agree with Simon there. Spencer, I have to absolutely disagree with you. And again, side with Simon with regard to AJ, in the sense that he did not dismantle Ngannou because he only fought him minutes.
Oh, Michael, we're just losing Michael there. He seems to be driving a cement mixer.
That's making a lot of sense.
Family member rang up there, Simon,
making
was it?
a lot of sense.
Let's go to Steve, who's a Manchester United fan, but a boxing fan, no doubt, as well. Steve, where do you stand on this? I mean, has AJ done us all a big favour by knocking out a crossover fighter like Ngannou and maybe cementing the end for fights like those?
Yes. Let's hope so. Anyway, I can't stand these crossover fights. I can't stand all the misfit stuff. You know, let's just get rid of it and get back to boxing. It's doing boxing no favours. However, on Anthony Joshua, I have to say I love Anthony Joshua, and I felt really, really bad for him in the time that he's been going through, where he's, sort of lost his confidence. He's in a dark place. But we cannot just give him a free pass because he beat Otto Wallen. Who was Otto Wallen ever? I mean, Fury has a bad night.
He was the guy that cut Fury really badly in a fight. Could have been stopped and took Fury all the way, lost on points. That was Otto Wallen. So at that stage, he was considered a threat.
Yeah, I just don't think he's ever been a threat in any of the other fights that he's been in. He only came to the front of boxing by that night he had with Fury. The other thing that I would say is this, and I know I'll get blasted for it. Who is Tyson Fury? I mean, you compare Tyson Fury with Anthony Joshua, and I'm sorry, but Anthony Joshua has got all the better skill sets. I firmly believe Anthony Joshua beats Tyson Fury. I think the question around Usyk is a much bigger thing. However, I do agree we can't all just get excited and give Anthony Joshua a free pass and say, he's back, he's going to smash everything up and win all the title bouts. I think it's a really interesting time.
He's put
his name back in the mix. That's the point.
Yes. Here's Ollie, another fight fan. Ollie, where do you stand on all of this regards crossover fights? I mean, is it time up for them?
Yeah, you're right, fellas. Nice to speak to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it is, to be honest. I mean, the thing is, what happened to Ngannou should be happening 100% of the time whenever a pro boxer fights an MMA fighter. As you can imagine, if a boxer went and tried his hand in the octagon, he'd probably get done within the first couple of minutes as well. I think Fury sort of gave some of the MMA guys a bit of false hope. Obviously, it wasn't his best on the night. But yeah, like I said, you've seen what happened with McGregor. You've seen what happened with Ngannou now. I think it's time for it, to be honest. But yeah, obviously, I really like Ngannou. He's got a really good backstory and everything. But you can't expect a top MMA guy to mix it with any of the top boxers, really, can you?
Ollie, one of many good calls. Thank you very much indeed. Craig's another. Craig, good afternoon to you. Where do you stand on it all, mate? Well, we've seen the last of Ngannou and his type.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, Craig.
I feel like with the Ngannou thing, yeah, it's done and dusted now. He'll go back into his own thing and dominate that again, because I don't think there's a better MMA fighter in the heavyweight division than him. When it comes to Anthony Joshua, though, whoever that caller was before saying who's Tyson Fury, we all know Fury's going to wipe the floor with Joshua, in my opinion. At the end of the day, who has Joshua fought that's in their prime other than Usyk? That's how I see it. Because, yeah, he's a knockout merchant. He's brilliant at what he does, but Fury is more technically gifted. He can knock out people, or he can just take you the 12 rounds and embarrass you. So with Fury against Ngannou, yeah, he weren't at his best. You could tell he didn't train properly. You could tell he didn't take him seriously. But when we see Fury against Usyk, we'll see the proper Fury. Okay. And I think Fury will do Usyk.
Okay, that'll be music to the ears, no doubt, of Frank Warren, who I think is listening to our show this lunchtime, as they all do out there. Thank you for that. Rob, big Man United fan, take us to the 12:30 bulletin then, Rob. Crossover fights, is it goodbye to them at last after what Joshua did on Friday night in Riyadh to Ngannou?
Guys, firstly, thank you for having me on. I think it depends. I don't think it does anything good for either sport. I think potentially gone. It depends if the fans want it. However, I want to see it the other way. So I'm more of an MMA fan than a boxer. I would love to see a high-level boxer step in the cage. I think it won't happen because of ego. So Eddie Hearn said it about Anthony Joshua when he won the fight. He's the baddest man on the planet. I'm sorry, but that moniker belongs to John Jones. Ngannou was never the baddest man on the planet. He's much like Deontay Wilder. He's got the dynamite in his hands, which is ultimately the great equalizer. He's not the greatest MMA fighter. Again, that belongs to John Jones. They will say the money isn't there. That's why they wouldn't cross over. Their ego will stop them going in the cage and getting the floor wiped with them within 2 minutes. Much like happened to James Toney 14 years ago when he fought Randy Couture. We all saw how that happened. Nothing different would happen. It would be much the same. It's the ego that would prevent it.
Wow. Yeah. Rob, thank you very much indeed.
Interesting.
Quite
isn't
a cross-section there, Spencer,
Listen,
which is what we're all about.
Absolutely, Jim. I think for me, it's all about, we live in a world now of entertainment, and it's what people want to see. People want to see crossover fights. You're bringing the different audiences together. Yeah. And I think that works. I think that is going to work, and it will continue to work, because I think the criticism that surrounds it will always create the hype, and I think that's where we're at with it. It's not going to be the last time. Didn't Muhammad Ali have some crossover fight many years ago? Some Japanese wrestler or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
The argument never goes away, Spencer, about as and when it happens, who wins, AJ or Fury. That's always going to rage on. Quite interestingly, even though the topic was about crossover fighters coming into the boxing ring, inevitably AJ Fury came up as a topic. Do you think all day AJ wins that?
No,
and when they ever fight?
Myself and Simon talked about this actually on that award-winning podcast that you talk about, Talk Boxing.
Oh, it's very good.
That's out now on the boxing YouTube channel. Anyway, I thought I'd get that in. Yeah. But where we was at was 12 months ago, Jim. We're talking it's an 80-20 in Fury's favour. Now we're talking it's a 50-50. You look at where Anthony Joshua is now. His confidence is reinstalled, which is important. Fury's coming off a bad performance. That doesn't mean to say that he's gone backwards. It could have been for a number of reasons, but it makes it interesting, and it's a real 50-50 fight.
50-50, Simon? You go with that?
Depends what version of Tyson Fury goes in the ring.
But that's the point. That's why it's 50-50.
Yeah, if Tyson Fury goes back into the ring after beating Usyk and resembles, if he beats Usyk and resembles the Tyson Fury that I look back on, I think he beats Anthony. That's not a preference. It's not a bias that I like Fury and I don't like Joshua. It's nothing to do with it. I just think in that fight, Fury, if he's at his best, will beat Anthony Joshua. But the questions about Joshua are now more significant because he's had this period of a year getting himself back into groove. He will likely win a world title if he fights Hrgovic. Yeah. And the most fascinating thing is that we might get this fight.
Simon, I think he's reinstalled the confidence and belief in people, if I'm totally honest, because he was written off. He went through a tough time. And I think he's reinstalled that confidence back in people with his recent performances. I know what you're talking about, the quality of opponent.
He was questioned.
He was.
And that's what goes with the territory.
Already. And now AJ, according to Simon's a national treasure.